السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. So inshallah today we are continuing with the stories of the prophets, and today we are in the middle of the stories of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. So 2 weeks back when we started, we went over a few things about Ibrahim alayhi salam, where he was born, in his early childhood, how he spent it. And we were in the middle of the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam when the people of his town were leaving for a celebration, for a get-together, and they requested Ibrahim alayhi salam to join them in that celebration. They were going out of town, and Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, at that time, he did not want to go, and he said, "Inni saqim, I'm feeling sick, so I'm unable to attend the celebration with you people." So he stayed back, and everyone in the town left out of town. At that time, Ibrahim alayhi salam took the opportunity to go to the place of worship where the idols were, and he took an axe with him, and he destroyed all those idols. And this is the incident that we were in the middle of. When these people returned from their celebration, from their get-together, they came and visited the place of worship, the places of idols, and they noticed that all the idols were broken. And they had a conversation amongst themselves, like, who did this? Who could possibly do this? And finally they said that it has to be only one person, that is Ibrahim alayhi salam. We used to hear him say bad things about the idols, say negative things about the idols. So if anyone that could possibly do this, it has to be him. So they called Ibrahim alayhi salam and they asked him in front of everyone that, do you know who did this? And he said that, why don't you ask this big idol that's in the middle, that's unharmed, no one did anything to that, and you can see the axe hanging in its neck. Why don't you ask this big idol? If you believe that it is your Lord, it is your God, then it should help you, it should give you some answers. So anyways, these people, finally they said to Ibrahim alayhi salam, لَقَدْ عَلِمْتَ مَا هَؤُلَاءِ يَنْطِقُونَ, that, oh Ibrahim, you know that these idols cannot speak. Ibrahim alayhi salam then finally he got an opportunity to put his message across, and he said, أَفَتَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مَا لَا يَنْفَعُكُمْ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَضُرُّكُمْ, then are you worshipping something besides Allah that cannot benefit you at all, nor it can do any harm to you? So it cannot even do this much benefit to you of giving you the answer, of telling you who destroyed your idols and your lords. It has no benefit, so why are you worshipping these types of idols? So Ibrahim alayhi salam, and we will learn from his stories that he used to look for these opportunities, practical opportunities, and then he would present his message in those situations. So this is a situation that he made up, breaking the idols, and then he was able to raise this question, make them understand. So these people, then Ibrahim alayhi salam then said, "Uffil lakum, وَلِمَا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ." Shame on all of you. Are you worshipping something besides Allah? Do you not have any understanding? Now, of course, these people were at a situation they could not confront Ibrahim alayhi salam. They could not argue with him. Ibrahim alayhi salam proved them that these idols are no benefit, and there's nothing that these idols can do. And there was these people lost that argument. So now they wanted to, of course, do something to Ibrahim alayhi salam, but they didn't know what to do. So amongst themselves, they decided that, we should punish Ibrahim alayhi salam by throwing him into the fire, burn him alive. So they finally went to their king, and the king of that time was Namrud. We should remember this name because there's other things that Namrud did with Ibrahim alayhi salam. This is the first time Namrud is coming into the picture. So these people, they went to Namrud, the king of that time, and they begged Namrud that, can you punish Ibrahim alayhi salam and can you burn him into fire? And of course, Namrud, he also wanted to do something to Ibrahim alayhi salam because Namrud was also an idol worshipper, and Ibrahim alayhi salam destroyed their idols and their gods. So he wanted to do something. So he agreed that yes, we should burn him. So all of these people together, they agreed. They said, قَالُوا حَرِّقُوهُ وَانصُرُوا آلِهَتَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ فَاعِلِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this incident. He says that those people together, they said, let's burn him and let's help your lords if you are able to do something. If you can do something for your lords, let's just burn Ibrahim alayhi salam and help your lords. Now, this king Namrud, the scholars, the historians mention that from the time of Adam alayhi salam till now, there's only been four rulers, kings, who have ruled almost the entire world. Entire world, not just one country or a few countries. There's four different people who ruled almost the entire world. There are two that were Muslims and two that were non-Muslims. The two that ruled almost the entire world from Muslims were number one, Sulaiman alayhi salam, Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam, and number two, Dhul Qarnayn. And we will talk about Dhul Qarnayn. Was he a prophet or he was not a prophet? That's a subject on its own. Inshallah, when we go through his stories, we'll find out. But these were two believers, Sulaiman alayhi salam and Dhul Qarnayn. And two from the kuffar, the disbelievers who ruled almost the entire world. One was this Namrud here. And second was known as Bukht Nasr. So these two were very, zalim and very, they were doing a lot of fasad and mischief. Namrud ruled the world, or almost the entire world, for about 400 years. In those days, the ages were longer, and they used to live for 700, 800 years, 1,000 years during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Namrud, Allah alam how old he was, but his rulership, his kingdom he ruled the world for 400 years. Anyways, so of course now Namrud is ordering the people to prepare for the burning of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So what they did was, their planning was such that first they assigned a specific area, and they say that it was about 1 mile area, 1 square mile area, and they surrounded that 1 square mile with brick walls. And then this brick walls, they were just closed walls. And then they started to tell people to throw as much wood as they can into that 4 walls. And now people are bringing whatever wood they can, from buying from stores and places, jungles and whatever, and they were bringing whatever wood they can. And they were considering this as a service to their idols, that we need to do something for our Lord. So this is why they were bringing. Everyone was involved in bringing the wood. And it is also mentioned that that there was a lady whose son or whose child was sick or not feeling well, and she made a promise that if my son gets better, I will take certain amount of wood and throw it in there too. So this was their ibadah. They were feeling proud to do this. So anyways, the wood is getting gathered, it's being thrown into those 4 walls. In one narration, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also mentions that before Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown into that fire, the huge fire, his clothes were also taken off, and he was undressed. And this is why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also says that on the day of Qiyamah, when all the human beings will be without clothes, the first person to be given clothes on that day will be Ibrahim alayhi salam, because he was the first one whose clothes were removed for the sake of Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of Qiyamah will bless him first with clothes. And now the question came that how should they throw Ibrahim alayhi salam into that fire? Because it's a huge fire. You can imagine 1 square mile of area, and fire is being burnt in there for days and days. And finally now they want to throw him, and they can't get near that area because it's of course very it's extremely hot. You can't get near there. So how would they throw him over? So they invented something called manjaniq. In Arabic it's called manjaniq. In English something like the catapult, where they is used to throw heavy stones and attack the enemies, is used in wars. This was the first time this type of machinery, this type of equipment was invented, the catapult, the manjaniq, and Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown with this. As he was being thrown, the ahadith mentioned that the angels, different angels, they came to Ibrahim alayhi salam and asking him that order us to and give us some instructions, tell us what we can do to help you. And some narrations mention that the angel of the rain, who was in charge of rain, also came. That, "Oh Ibrahim, allow me, give me permission that to send down rain so we can extinguish this fire. And some other angels came, the ones who were in charge of the mountains. "Oh Ibrahim, tell us, order us, so we will bring the mountains together and we will destroy this whole nation." And different angels came. In fact, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam also came, and he requested Ibrahim alayhi salam that, can you give me something that tell me something that how I can help you. And Ibrahim alayhi salam rejected everyone and refused any help from anyone. This is the level of Ibrahim alayhi salam, how much trust and how much hope he had with Allah, that he knew that Allah is on his side and he did not care. In fact, one narration even mentions that Jibreel alayhi salam requested Ibrahim alayhi salam that if you don't want our help, at least why don't you make dua to Allah? At least do that much. You make dua to Allah that, Ya Allah, let Allah help you. So Ibrahim alayhi salam smiled back to Jibreel alayhi salam, and he laughed and he said, "Oh Jibreel, don't you know Allah already knows my situation? Allah is already watching me. He knows what I'm going through. Why do I need to ask him to make dua? If he wants to help me, if he feels that this is not good for me, he will help me." So this is the tawakkul, this is the trust, and this is the connection Ibrahim alayhi salam had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One hadith which is in many books of hadith, Sahih Bukhari, an authentic hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the only words Ibrahim alayhi salam said at the time when he was being thrown through that fire, the only thing that he said at that time was, "Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel." Allah is enough for me, and He is the greatest helper. He is the best helper. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Something that we should all memorize, and we can understand the power of this dua. How powerful, how strong this dua is. In fact, one hadith we find at the time of Battle of Uhud, and we know this was a very severe battle between the Muslims and the kuffar. There was about 1,000 Muslims, and from those 1,000 Muslims, 300 were munafiqeen who left. Now there's 700 Muslims, Sahaba, against 3,000 kuffar. 700 against 3,000. So one against every, 4 or 5 people? A very severe battle between Muslims and the kuffar. At that time, we find in the hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, along with the Sahaba, all they were reciting was Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. This is what they were reciting at that time. And another incident we find when Aisha radiallahu anha, she was accused of some wrong things, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran revealed that Aisha revealed the verses that Aisha radiallahu anha was innocent. She had nothing to do with those allegations against her. At that time we find Aisha radiallahu anha was also reciting the same dua, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. So this was a dua that in major incidents, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help and his blessing, his rahmah came when they recited this dua. Anyways, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he recited this dua, Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. And as soon as he recited this dua and he was being thrown, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that we then right away commanded the fire, قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرَدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ, that we commanded the fire, O fire, be cool, be cold, and be safe for Ibrahim alayhi salam. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's help is there, and the fire that is meant to burn, now it's being used for comfort. The effect of fire is gone. There is no more heat in the fire. It looks like a fire. People are seeing it as fire. People are seeing it as Ibrahim alayhi salam getting burnt, and he's in the middle of the fire. But this fire lost its effect of burn, of heat. There's no more heat in there. And this whole area of fire became a garden. It became a peaceful place for Ibrahim alayhi salam. And one hadith also mentions that the ropes that Ibrahim alayhi salam was tied with, his hands and feet were tied while he was being thrown. Even those ropes burnt, but nothing, the fire did not do any effect on his body. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the fire to be cold and be safe only for Ibrahim alayhi salam. So it was only not burning for Ibrahim alayhi salam, but everything else was getting burnt. The wood there, the robe, everything is getting burnt. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thereafter sent down clothes with the angels, and Ibrahim alayhi salam was dressed with the clothes of Jannah. The historians mention that Ibrahim alayhi salam remained in that fire that the people were seeing as fire, but it was not a fire that was burning. He remained in that situation for 40 days. 40 days. And the people actually were watching. Some people were watching that Ibrahim alayhi salam is in the middle of this fire, but he's sitting so peacefully. He's not getting burnt. In fact, we find in the history that his father Azar, though he was a mushrik, but he was still the father. So he still had some love for Ibrahim alayhi salam in his heart. Though he did not like Ibrahim alayhi salam because of what he was doing, but he still had the love for Ibrahim alayhi salam as being a son. So he climbed a huge hill or a mountain area that was there to look from above and see how his son Ibrahim alayhi salam was doing. And he saw that Ibrahim alayhi salam is sitting peacefully. And at that time Azar said these words, "Ni'ma Rabbu Ibrahim." Look how great of a Rabb Ibrahim alayhi salam has. Now he realized that this idols could not do anything, and now Ibrahim alayhi salam, his Rabb is helping him. The hadith mentioned that at that situation, all the different animals, they requested Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that allow us to help Ibrahim alayhi salam in being protected from this fire. So the birds and the other animals, whatever they were able to do, some were bringing some water in their mouth and different things, and they were trying to extinguish the fire. There was only one animal that, instead of helping, was going against, and it was blowing in that fire to make the fire bigger. And of course that was the lizard. And this is why in the ahadith we find that there is reward for killing a lizard, because it was that animal that wanted harm for Ibrahim alayhi salam. Before moving further, there's so many lessons that we can also learn from these incidents, from these stories of the prophets. For example, this one thing that we learn here is that anytime a person follows the deen, and more than that, when a person preaches the deen and he invites others towards the deen, difficulties do come on his path. It's not easy. Hardships do come on his path. And Ibrahim alayhi salam's incident is teaching us this, that when he was inviting the people, the whole world became against him, and all wanted to do harm to him and burn him. So this is natural. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala system is such that following this deen, and then of course a reward, a person will get it in akhirah for those difficulties that he has to face. Some face lesser hardships and some face more, but there are some difficulties. It's not going to be easy. A lot of times people are, they get confused. I'm following the deens. Why are these difficulties coming? This is part of the following the deen, and then this is the method of Anbiya alayhi salatu wasalam. This is what we learn from their incidents, from their stories, that of course they were the most closest people to Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put them in these situations too. To raise their status, of course, in akhirah they will find their status to be the highest and their rewards to be the most. Anyways, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, during his time, he had to face with two different types of nation. One were the nation that were idol worshippers, that were in his own hometown. And he confronted them, he invited them to the oneness of Allah. He told them that there is no benefit in worshiping these idols. And there was another nation that were worshiping the stars. Some were worshiping the stars, the moons, the sun. And there was that nation also, there was that group. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam also confronted these people and invited these people towards the oneness of Allah also. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that incident also in Quran. In 7th juz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it. فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَآ كَوْكَبًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. And look at the method how Ibrahim alayhi salam is inviting. He does not just go and tell them, don't worship the star, worship Allah. No, not just this. He makes them in a situation like the way he did in the previous incident that we just learned. He broke the idols and he left this big idol untouched. And he told these people to go and ask the big idol. Likewise, one day he goes to these people and he tells them that, this star, it looks very nice, it's shining, it's so up high in the sky. I think this is my Rabb too. And this is what he's telling the people. قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. Ibrahim a.s. says, this is my Lord. Pointing towards the star, this is my Lord. And then, so everyone is actually, they're with Ibrahim a.s. that, okay, yeah, he's also agreeing with us too. And then when the star disappears, he calls those people like, hey, we'll come back. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَا أُحِبُّ الْآفِلِينَ. He says, I do not like to worship something that disappears. So he uses that opportunity. And then when the moon comes, فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. When they saw the moon rising, he said, again Ibrahim a.s. said, okay, this one might be my Lord. And then فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَإِن لَمْ يَهْدِنِي رَبِّي لَأَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الضَّالِّينَ. When it disappeared, he said, if my Lord will not guide me, he will leave me, I will certainly be misguided. So if I don't have a Lord anymore, during the daytime is gone, so who will guide me when the moon is not there? And then فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. When the sun shined during the day, Ibrahim a.s. again said, okay, this might be my Lord. هَذَا أَكْبَرُ, because this is the biggest one. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَتْ قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّمَّا تُشْرِكُونَ. When the sun disappeared, and then he said, O people, I totally reject whatever you are associating with Allah. There is nothing that I can worship out of these things. Everything is disappearing. Everything is leaving me and not staying with me. So Ibrahim a.s. would use his opportunity. No, sometimes people think that when Ibrahim a.s. said, Hada Rabbi, this is my Lord, did Ibrahim a.s. actually mean it? No, he did not mean it. It was just to make them understand. It was just a method of da'wah, a method of making them understand how can this be the Lord when it comes and goes, comes and goes. And then we also find Ibrahim alayhi salam constantly worried about his father who was an idol worshipper. This also teaches us a lesson. How we should be worried about our family members. If they are not towards the deen, if they are not doing something that is according to the Sharia, we should be worried and we should look for different ways of how we can invite them to the right path. And Ibrahim alayhi salam is constantly worried about his father. And so many incidents in the Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about where Ibrahim alayhi salam is having a conversation with his father. The son and the father keep on having conversations. One day, okay, it didn't work. A few days later, again, they're having conversation. And different ways Ibrahim alayhi salam is explaining to his father. So, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in 7th juz, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لِأَبِيهِ آزَرْ أَتَتَّخِذُ أَصْنَامًا آلِهَةً إِنِّي أَرَاكَ وَقَوْمَكَ فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. That remember, when Ibrahim alayhi salam said to his father, Azar, do you take these idols as gods? It is clear to me that you and your people are misguided. Another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in 16th juz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned an incident. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا. Mention in this book about Ibrahim alayhi salam. He was a truthful prophet. إِذْ قَالَ لِأَبِيهِ يَا أَبَتِ لِمَ تَعْبُدُ مَا لَا يَسْمَعُ وَلَا يُبْصِرُ وَلَا يُغْنِي عَنْكَ شَيْئًا. When he said to his father, How did he call his father? He says, Ya abati, O my beloved father. Ya abati, one is ab, father. And then the sta is added for extra love and connection. So, O my father, O my beloved father. And we can learn another lesson, that when you are approaching someone and inviting them towards the deen, teaching them something about deen, invite them with love and show them kindness, show them love. Ya abati, O my father, lima ta'budu ma la yasma'u wa la yubsir. Why do you worship something that cannot hear, something that cannot see? Wa la yughni anka shay'a, and something that cannot be of any benefit, cannot do anything for you. You know, Ibrahim alayhi salam's stories are full of incidents. So this is one lesson that we can learn: inviting others with love. Number two, inviting your family members also, not forgetting the family members. Number three that we learn here is that don't hide your message. And you know, sometimes we don't want to look bad, so we change the words and we are not straightforward with our message. No, be straightforward. Tell them that this is the right and this is right. This is right. This is wrong. Be clear. Be straightforward. So he's telling his father Ibrahim, his father Azar, that why are you worshiping these idols that don't have any benefit, cannot see anything? Straightforward. And another thing that we learn here: use the method of understanding, of logic. Make them understand. No, don't just tell them, okay, worship Allah, don't worship. No, make them understand, why are you doing this? Why are you saying this? To explain it to them that, these idols, they cannot benefit you. They cannot hear you. So make them understand. Don't just give them the straightforward instructions. So use logic, make those people understand, why are you doing this? And then Ibrahim alayhi salam further says, Ya abati, inni qad ja'ani min al-ilmi, ma lam ya'tika fattabi'ani ahdika siratan sawiyya. O my beloved father, I have certainly received some knowledge which you have not received. So follow me and I will guide you to the straight path. The son is telling the father. Imagine the son, he's so much younger and he's telling his father, why don't you follow me? It's not easy. And the father will, tell him that I raise you, I know everything about you. What are you teaching me? But Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying, I have some knowledge that you don't have, so why don't you follow me and I will guide you to the straight path. Ya abati, la ta'bud ash-shaytan, inna shaytana kana lir-rahmani 'asiyya. O my father, O my beloved father, don't worship the shaitan. In other words, this idol that you're worshiping, this is the shaitan. The shaitan is the one that is putting this in your mind of worshiping this idol. This is all obeying the shaitan. So, O my father, don't worship the shaitan, because shaitan is very rebellious against the Rahman, the one who is the merciful one. Allah is merciful, He's kind, and shaitan is rebellious against the merciful one. So imagine how bad the shaitan is. Someone that is being kind, he's rejecting that being who is Rahman. And then we find so many teachings that Ibrahim alayhi salam is giving. Ya abati inni akhafu an yamassaka adhabun min ar-rahmani fatakuna li-shaytani waliya. O my father, I fear that a punishment may come to you from the Rahman, from the merciful one, and you will become shaitan's friend in Jahannam. There's so many, like I said, there's so many different incidents, so many different conversations Ibrahim alayhi salam is having with his father Azar. Finally, after a long time, Azar, he made up his mind that he does not want to follow Ibrahim alayhi salam. He made up his mind. And Ibrahim alayhi salam is understanding, but Ibrahim alayhi salam is not giving up. Father finally says to his son, to Ibrahim alayhi salam, قال أراغب أنت عن آلهتي يا إبراهيم لئن لم تنتهي لأرجمنك وهجرني مليا. Now the father is getting angry. He's had enough. Now he's saying, dare you ever reject my idols, O Ibrahim? If you will not stop, I will certainly stone you to death. I will certainly stone you to death. Now go away from me for a long period of time. وَهْجُرْنِي مَلِيًّا. Leave me alone. Go away from me for a long time. This ayah, when that Azar is saying to his son Ibrahim alayhi salam, the situation of this, the Shan al-Nuzul as we call it, that what was the background of this, of Azar saying this to Ibrahim. One hadith mentions the Shan al-Nuzul and the reasoning for this. And that is one day, Azar, as he used to make idols, he was not just an idol worshipper. He also was an idol maker, an idol seller. He had a business. He used to make idols and he used to sell them, worship them and everything. So one day, Azar, he made an idol. And he gave it to his son Ibrahim alayhi salam, that, can you take this, can you do me a favor, can you take this and go and sell it outside? Of course, Ibrahim alayhi salam, how could he do this? And of course, at the same time, he cannot say no to his father. So now, look at the situation he's stuck in. The father is saying, "Oh my son Ibrahim, can you take this idol and sell it for me?" Ibrahim alayhi salam takes that idol. How can he sell it, right? He's a prophet. He's the one that is talking bad about these idols and telling people not to buy, not to worship, and how can he go and sell it himself? So, it's mentioned that when Ibrahim alayhi salam took that idol, he tied it with a rope and he dragged it along the way, taking it to the marketplace, and he was dragging it with the rope. He was pulling it with the rope. And he was announcing, anyone wants to buy this idol, which is getting dragged from behind. And he's announcing, he's screaming. And finally, of course, everyone is looking at it, it's getting dragged and it's getting dirty, and no one, of course, bought it. He made his circles and he came back. When Azar saw that, Ibrahim alayhi salam came back with the idol, so he said, "Oh Ibrahim, how come no one bought the idol?" Ibrahim alayhi salam said, "Look, I took it through the whole city and I showed it to everyone, but no one wanted to buy it. Look, it's right here." When Azar saw it, he realized, of course, why no one bought it. So he got angry with Ibrahim alayhi salam, and then he said these words to Ibrahim alayhi salam that, "Dare you talk about my idols? I want you to leave from me and don't ever come near me." That's when he got really mad. Ibrahim alayhi salam, in response, what did he say? When his father is kicking him out, that don't ever come back to me, he kicked him out of the house, from the town, that leave. What did Ibrahim alayhi salam say in response? قال سلام عليك سأستغفر لك ربي إنه كان بي حفيا. Ibrahim alayhi salam, the only thing he said in response, Salamun alayk, may peace be upon you. سأستغفر لك ربي, I will ask for forgiveness from my Rabb. I'll ask my Rabb to forgive you. إنه كان بي حفيا, because my Rabb is very generous. This is, at this situation, Ibrahim alayhi salam is making dua for his father when he's lost hope, but the door of du'as are open. And this is another lesson that we learn. Never be hopeless. Always have hope. It doesn't matter how long the situation is taking, and it seems like it's not going to work, but don't let this dua go, and always stay connected with the dua. Always have this hope from Allah that, it's possible that today my dua will be accepted. Okay, didn't? Okay, now again next day. Okay, today it will be accepted. So every day, hope from Allah, never be hopeless. And at this last moment when Ibrahim alayhi salam is leaving the town, at that time he's making dua to Allah for his father too. And he's saying, إِنَّهُ كَانَ بِحَفِيًّا, my Rabb is merciful. He is very kind. I know He will help me. And then now Ibrahim alayhi salam, he finally is ready to depart this town. Inshallah, we will continue next week. Where did he go? Which town did he go next? And what did he do there? Inshallah, we'll continue onwards next week. Wa akhiru da'wana an alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.